YouTube as well as on Facebook. Yay. Okay.
Could you give me the link then? I'll just send it out to my group.
Oh
Or
Lord, what's
D, could you
okay?
just send it
So
out?
look for the entrepreneurial you in Facebook, and you shall find that group, and that's it.
Okay.
I just decided to. It's a last minute decision, so it's not like I even did a promo on it or anything like that. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we are gonna get started. Let me bring this up. Non-fungible tokens, widely known as NFTs, are the latest evolution of the cryptocurrency concept. They've been around since about 2014, but recently gained notoriety. NFTs can be traded or exchanged one for another as one of a kind digital representations of physical assets. They are essentially digital contracts with certain rules, such as the number of copies available for sale. Much of the current market for NFTs is centered around collectibles such as digital artwork, music, real estate, and sports cards, even tweets. So, what triggered the latest internet obsession? In early March 2021, a group of NFTs in the form of artwork was sold for over 69 million US dollars. Hello, not Jamaican, US dollars. The sale set a precedent and a record for the most expensive pieces of digital art sold thus far. NFTs exist on a blockchain, which is a distributed public ledger that records transactions. Blockchain technology help artists and content creators, for example, get the opportunity to monetize their wares without relying on a gallery or auction house. Instead, the artist can sell it directly to the consumer. In theory, anybody can tokenize their work to sell an NFT. It is important to note, however, that NFTs are typically held on the Ethereum blockchain. So, owning and storing some sort of this cryptocurrency is usually the first step in attaining NFTs. With all the hype surrounding this new craze, the big questions yet to be answered are they worth the money? Will they change the way we invest forever? Or will they fade away? Only time will tell. My guest on the Entrepreneurial You today is Miguel Adwin, and he has a true passion for technology and entrepreneurship, which direct his work ethic. With over 2 decades of experience in technology leadership and product architecture, Miguel is the archetype creator and product builder. His extensive experience in technology leadership and products. Oh, I said that a while ago, so let me back up. His extensive experience ranges from physical systems, e-commerce, homeland security, managing enterprise teams, and delivering tested and secure products using big data. Having heavily used cryptography before it was cool, the crypto and DeFi space provide a healthy environment to merge his entrepreneurial skills with his development and architectural chops. So it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome Miguel Adwin to the Entrepreneurial You podcast. Welcome, welcome, Miguel.
Thank you very much for having me, Haniko.
And I have said a mouthful a while ago, including including a lot of what I'm going to be asking you about, because frankly speaking, all of that I said in the preamble a while ago was just me regurgitating what my producer did for the TV edition of the show. So I ain't gonna lie, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So let me just put that out there. And I'm in a space now that I want to learn. So, and I think the entrepreneurial you is the space for that. And so, thank you for coming. But before we get into the hard stuff, the NFTs, crypto, all of this jazz, what I'd love for you to tell me is, what is your favorite thing about being Jamaican?
My
Let's hear
favorite
it.
thing about being Jamaican, well, you know what? The favorite thing is the thing that rubs a lot of people wrong,
Which is
because we are the stunting capital of the world.
the
So,
stunting capital.
we have so much talent and creativity. We completely always punch above our weight class.
Mm-hmm.
So for a country as small as Jamaica, the accomplishments that have come out of us and the worldwide recognition that comes from just being Jamaican is by far, being identified as just Jamaican and people are like, yo, that's cool. That is by far the best thing about being Jamaican.
Yeah, Malika Mitalo. I don't know. Is everybody hearing this broadcast as loudly as it should be? Because it sounds a bit low on my end. And this is a
You're good.
time now.
I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Okay. I wonder if somebody can feedback. I see one viewer step up on the live stream. So if somebody could feedback to me, are you hearing clearly? Let them disappear. I see the one disappear. All right. I'm gonna assume, dear God, that they're hearing it clearly, right? And we don't have to do a retake. That would not be cool at all. But I think we're fine. I really do think we're fine because I use this platform all the time. All right, so let's get back to business, right? So your favorite thing about Jamaican is what I really like about us, that you've actually said too. We'll look about with Talawa. All right, so getting to the real deal. No, many of us, and I'm like very transparent, right? I'm putting it out there. Some of the things that come up, like you kind of say to yourself, you don't have the bandwidth to learn all of these things because they're coming at you in such fast pace, and you kind of live in a little bubble for a time and hopes that all of that's going on, it may disappear and you don't have to get involved, but it's not going to happen. So let me just face it, right? I have to be involved. And this is the show that we need that kind of discussion and engagement. So with that said, what is all this NFT, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? Break it down for me as if I were 2 years old and I need to know.
All right. Well, let's first start with, what you just said about the fact that you might want to put your head in the sand and just kind of wait, and maybe when you come back up, it's gone, so you don't need to learn it. Here's the reality, though. You remember back in the day when the internet came about, a lot of people kind of wanted to do that also, and a few decades later, we can't live without it. You have people walking around with their heads in their phones, like on a 24-hour basis. Mm-hmm. So Web3 is what we classify the crypto space as. Prior to this, you had the interactivity, Facebook, social media, etc. That is what is considered Web2.
Web2. All right, hold that thought because I'm going to do a test myself. I'm really kind of not so 100% confident in how I'm hearing about this thing. So hold that thought. The Facebook Web 2.0, and I'm going to cue you when you speak so I can listen from online and see what's going on. Give me a second.
Okay, no problem.
So go ahead and say something. Say one line, Miguel, so I can just test. My name is Miguel, something to that effect.
Say one line, Miguel, so I can just test. See if I can hear you.
Yeah, it is working. All right, cool. Let me just log over to that and come right back. All right. Yes, that was good. So I had to do that because I remember just when I was doing a solo episode, when I was ready to do play it back, I couldn't hear a thing and I had to re-record. But anyway, so we're good to go. Web 2.0, that's where we were.
Yes, so Web 2.0 is what you've been using thus far. And you have some challenges with Web 2.0, such as the sharing of data, privacy concerns. You have people going, there are all these companies mining our data. They know more about me than like the person, my neighbor or my family knows about me, right? So Web3 is the evolution of that. And Web3 is, we refer to a lot about what happens in the crypto space as Web3. This is taking charge of your own profile, taking charge of your own destiny, introducing things like decentralized finance, where there are no real centralized bodies controlling the data, right? And what this leads to is more anonymity. I have to slow that down because if I say that fast, I
Tongue
always
twister,
mess it up. Right? It brings about more security, right? Because that means now, you control who gets your data, who sees your data, what happens with your data. Now, let's now branch that off into the crypto space and NFTs, because where crypto is concerned, that's when the entire DeFi sector comes in, decentralized finance. So this is the ability to transact currencies, digital currencies, without needing a centralized body. So in Jamaica, for example, you have the Bank of Jamaica, which is a centralized bank, the central bank. We don't need a central bank like Bank of Jamaica. I can send you, let's use Ethereum, for example. I can send you 10 ETH. You can send me back 5 ETH. There is no one body that controls how that gets to me. There is no one thing we can turn off and say, you know what? Henika can no longer send me this thing, right?
All right, stick a
So
pin.
that,
Stick a pin. And I think this is why it's kind of hard. Don't let me interrupt you. But I think that's why it's kind of hard to grasp, because for so long we've been used to being controlled and being told what to do and what we cannot do when it comes to certain things. So grasping that it's decentralized, I think that's the first step in unblocking our minds from going where we need to go.
yeah, just look at crypto as not people who control the area, but computers. Okay, so when you're dealing with a central bank, you have a governor, you have people making decisions there, etc., and who actually they are the gatekeepers for what it is that you can and you cannot do. In crypto, computers make that decision. Computers decide if this transaction is valid or not, right? Computers decide if this transaction should go through or not. So and the only human interaction now is from me to you, us deciding that we are going to do these transactions. And the beauty about it now is that there are a lot of real world scenarios that come into DeFi. So let's take a look at escrow, right? And a real world example of escrow where you and I have an agreement. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that none of us actually has the funds. It is in this third party's possession. And when the job is completed, you can say, all right, we're good. I can say I'm good. And then the funds get dispersed to me. In the DeFi world, for example, there is no human escrow. We decide that we're going to put the funds in escrow, right? And let's just look at it from a matrix type perspective where there's just this money just exists somewhere, right? So
is it real or is it my mind? Does it really exist? Okay.
Right? If you can spend it, it's real. So it's like, once the job is done, that's when you actively trigger this and the funds just automatically get released, So the only human interactions there, again, are from me to you.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. All right,
Does that make sense?
it does on a theoretical level. Let's now talk about the different, where do we start? So cryptocurrency is a technology, right? Or blockchain, really. Blockchain is so yeah, let's do it. Let me not assume that I know anything. I'm going to ask you, the expert, to just break it all down.
All right, so let's start from the beginning.
Blockchain, all of these things.
Let's start from the beginning. Every crypto network exists on what's called a blockchain. The blockchain is the building block of any network. What is a blockchain? So I'm gonna try to compare real world examples with tech so that it's kind of easier to understand. So let's talk about the blockchain, for example. When a transaction is committed on the blockchain, you can't roll it back. It will be there forever, right? So once that blockchain exists, I can always look back and say, Miguel sent 10 ETH to Henika at this time. I cannot go in and say, I'm going to change that to say that at this time I sent 12 ETH to Henika, right? What's the benefit now, and how does that compare to real life? You hear about people cooking the books all the time. You hear about funds going missing in governments all the time. You cannot do that on blockchain. So when we talk about, for example, accountability, security, resilience, right? The atomic nature of blockchain, meaning a transaction that you see on the blockchain, for example, is something that has definitely been proven, authorized, and will always be there, right? So that's the building block. So you can imagine now, once you have a building block like that, you are reducing fraud, right? You are reducing bad actors coming into the space saying, all right, fine, I'm going to try to manipulate this thing, right? And that is the downfall of current human society. Because once you put humans in charge of something, unfortunately, we have been shown that we mess it up. Corruption comes in, greed enters the sphere, so that exactly is how I would define what a blockchain is. Now, after you have the blockchain, we're going to decide what are we going to call this thing that we have on the blockchain. And like you said, it's like people call it magic money, fake money, all kind of terms, right? But I mean, think about when fiat currency, what we call real world currency, came about. Back in the day, people were trading cowrie shells. People were bartering. People were doing all kinds of things in the name of currency. And then when we decided, all right, we're going to decide that this is the currency, it was revolutionary. This is the same thing. It's just that it needs mass adoption for people to really understand it. So when we decide that we're going to create a coin, for example, on this blockchain, and I'm going to call it Henica coin. So I create a Henica coin. Yeah. I create a Henica coin and I say, I'm creating 10 Henica coins. All right, now I have 10 Henica coins. How does a Henica coin get its value? And now you get into the marketing aspect, the econ aspect, because of course you have supply and demand for everything. So if you are somebody who sells in a market, right, and you go with your mangoes and whatever, at some point, you decide what you want to sell the mangoes for. And if you decide you want to sell one mango for $10, and you go there on Friday, and guess what? Sunday come and you still have the mangoes for $10, you drop it to $5. Yeah. Right? It's the same thing, supply, demand, etc. And at some point, the buyers will meet the sellers, and then the price will stabilize. And then that's now when you get what the market price for this Henica coin is. And that's, so the trading starts going that way, just like how, you're selling in the market or you're doing any other business.
So you're selling stocks, you're trading stocks.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Good. So the disconnect really is that it's just this virtual thing, but the actual operational logic, it's something that you do every day.
Okay, nice. So we talk about the blockchain technology, and you decide what you're going to put on it, what is, and the values created around that. All right, so there we hear the talk of Bitcoins, all of these other things. I mean, in summary, because we can't spend the whole time, just kind of fleshing that out because it can take forever. But in summary, and then we're going to get to NFTs. In summary, what are all these different things that we're hearing about?
These are just different fruits in the market that have different values, whether it be the orange, the mango, the pear, the cherry, right? So Bitcoin is the big daddy, the original, the OG. So Bitcoin currently is the most valuable. Well, let me not go into the weeds here, but Bitcoin is the most valuable and the one that uses the most energy, right? Then you have other coins that are considered, mainstream coins. You have, for example, Ethereum, which is, in my opinion, and you mentioned it earlier, that is the biggest blockchain right now for NFTs. Because anybody who wants to buy an NFT, you come across Ethereum. You can't ignore it. That is just the place for NFTs. But there are other currencies. There are other chains. So what they are called altcoins, really. And
what coins?
Alternate. Yeah.
Okay.
Like alternate coins. So for example, my company has a token called the FIMI token, and that is built on what's called the Stellar blockchain. So we would be considered an altcoin just because we're not the mainstream, we're not the one of the big daddy OGs, etc. All right. So you have several currencies in the space.
Okay. And then now the latest of all the craze is NFTs, which
Yes,
is what we want to
yes.
zone in on. So yeah, non-fungible tokens. But for starters, we perhaps would need to know what are fungible tokens so that we can then determine what are non-fungible tokens. So let's go. And before we continue, I want to invite Winsome, Jackie, and Diana, if it's possible, to turn your camera on. If it's not, then we understand. But just so we're not looking at blank screens and we're getting the same energy as though you're in the room with us, huh? Right.
Right.
So non-fungible tokens.
All right. This is where the fruit analogy works. So, and thankfully that's what I used then. So let's look at I kind of just stumbled into that one. What is a fungible token? A fungible token is something that is the same. Let's go back to the real world. Open your wallet and you find, we still have a $50 bill in Jamaica, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
we
All
do.
right, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the lowest currently, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right,
Unfortunately,
cool.
remember we have $5 and $1.
I
Look at that.
remember.
I'm dating
Don't
myself.
age me, man. Come on.
Yes.
So, so open your wallet and you find four $50 bills. Each item that we just spoke about is valued the exact same. If I take that $50 bill and I give to Diana, Diana now has a $50 bill worth the same $50. It is the same thing. She can take it to a store and say, give me something for $50, and she gets that thing, right? So those are fungible. So a fungible thing, it is always the same. Hey B, what's up? So it's always the same, and you can transact with that, knowing that one of these four $50 bills is always going to be seen as the exact same in its instrument. Non-fungible, what does that mean? Non-fungible means the four $50 bill that's in my pocket are actually not the same. So I can't take either one of them, go to the same store and say, give me that thing for $50, because this $50 is not the same as that $50. So now let's bring that back to the crypto sphere. Bitcoin. If you have 100 Bitcoin, then no matter what, you have 100 Bitcoin worth the exact same thing. Non-fungibility is when I have two tokens on the network and each of them is 100% unique, cannot be duplicated, will never be the same. Why is that important? You're talking about art. You're talking about verifiability, authenticity, certification, etc. So once you start to say, I'm going to put my art on the blockchain and I need a signature to say, this is my thing, that signature is actually the non-fungible token. So that beautiful, I think, I don't know if it's a painting or a photograph behind you, for example, right? If I create
My banner.
it's your banner. If I create an NFT out of that, it moved by itself. There you go. It's magic. If I create an NFT from that, nobody else will be able to create an NFT that matches it. Absolutely nobody else. And if they take that exact thing, for example, and say, I'm going to create an NFT out of that, the signature should clash, right? Because if they're using the exact same parameters, then you can't have two of them either. Mm-hmm. So they'd have to make some change to it, and then you'd have another NFT.
All right, good. I think so far pretty good explanation, and it's quite simple, and you've broken it down. Mm-hmm. So now, Miguel, it's time for you to talk about FIMI. Yay! What is that? How can we be involved? Things like that. So, what is FIMI?
FIMI is fear. So
I like it. I'll take
it. As you know, in our culture, FIMI means for me. And we try to let people know, FIMI, the origins, the thought processes behind it is really rooted in the culture that I grew up in. A lot of the values and attitudes behind the company, that is rooted in the way that our upbringing, in Jamaica, that those items of social responsibility, how you approach reaching back and pulling people forward, it takes a village. I can name cliches all day, but those are the things, that beats behind this company. So we decided that our first product was going to be an NFT marketplace. The reason we
and
decided,
Saul says, Saul Valdez, Wagwan, not Nagwan. Well, a lot's going on, clearly.
Wagwan Saul. Yeah,
Right.
so we decided to create an NFT marketplace because when you take a look at the market now, there are very big players in the market, but we have been hearing complaints that people like us, people from developing countries, people from what I would call the underrepresented, there is no voice for us. When they look, they don't see themselves. They don't see, and there's the old cliche that you cannot be what you cannot see, right? So we
First,
created
may I
a
hear that though, but
marketplace.
yeah.
Boom, did it for you. So when you go to our marketplace, I want it to be a place where you see a complete diversity, right? When you visit us, you can see work that speaks to you, regardless of your color, religion, location, etc. And of course, there are people in the world who, we have white people, black people, Indian people, Chinese people. I want everybody to be able to go there and be able to find something that works for them. And in particular, people ask, is this a Jamaican marketplace? It's not a Jamaican marketplace, but it is also a place that brings Caribbean people, Jamaican people, the African diaspora, etc., into the space so that they can also show their works.
All right. Thank you for that. Damon, please mute your mic and welcome.
Hey, Damon, how are you doing?
I'm good.
All right. So you've been listening to Miguel Adwin talk about break down the whole cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs, and all that jazz. And perhaps you've joined us and you have a burning question based on what you've been hearing. So I'm going to give you an opportunity before I continue with Miguel to ask any question that you may have. And let me tell you something in this space, don't think about it as a dumb question because we're all here learning. Miguel is the expert here, and that's why we've brought him. So if you have a question that you want to ask regarding, digital currency, NFTs, all of these things, and all of that, and this is a place for it. So go right ahead and ask. Let me see. Indicate that you have a question, and I'll take it. Damien, you have a question? All right, let's hear it. Unmute your mic.
I'm just like listening because I just want to learn fully about everything. I don't fully get the fully understanding of everything as yet, but I'm trying to cope. But it's my first time, so I think going forward I will. So I'm just listening for right now.
Okay, thanks. I thought you had a question. That's all right. So listen, and then you can figure out more what you want to ask as you go along, and do your reading and stay close to the FIMI guys. That's why they're there.
Yeah,
the website
absolutely.
is Miguel. What's the website again?
Website is fimi.market, FIMI .market.
All right. So we want to know at this time. So you've created this this NFT. What kind of, is it artwork? Is it what kind of artwork are you zoning in on? Things like that.
All right. We're welcoming everybody. So you'll be able to create works from images, videos. If you're a poet, you can upload a document with poetry on it. You have video. Let's talk a bit about different people in the space. We have signed artists to the FIMI platform who are going to be there on launch. So we have people who are in the visual arts. We have people creating collections that are particularly Caribbean and West Indian focused also, to make sure that we get out there that you are also welcome. We have mainstream art, similar to what you'd see on other NFT marketplaces. We have signed, for example, Rascasso from Jamaica. He is an exclusive FIMI artist, and he will be minting, video NFTs that are representing the culture by and large. We have a singer from Jamaica, Chris Malachi, who did the We Move, which is just stuck in my head. he's going to be putting in music NFTs. You know, we have artists from the Philippines who are building collections on Fimi. We have an artist from Nigeria who is getting ready to push out art on Fimi. You know, we have women, because like I'm saying, we believe in not just speaking about the diversity, but making sure that that diversity actually
show
shows.
it and show it. Yes.
Exactly. Because
Okay.
you can always talk, you know. Them say mouth make for talk, but we actually want
Talk
to make
is
sure
cheap.
that
That's another one.
talk is cheap. Exactly.
All right. So from my reading around and stuff, there are literally thousands, you know, of marketplace available. Why is it that what is it really that makes Fimi marketplace different, you know, and should be more attractive to me as opposed to another marketplace, for example?
Representation.
Representation matters.
Representation absolutely matters. When you look at all those other marketplaces, you see a lot of the same things, right? They don't, and this is no fault of theirs, right? Because they build what they know. So I'm not saying that they're doing anything where they are actually excluding people intentionally. It's just that, you know, we have the insider insight of being raised in a certain culture, understanding what it means to not be able to see yourself and feel that you can do certain things, right? So unless, for example, you have been exposed to people who have been succeeding in business, sometimes you don't think you can do it. So that is why, you know, that's one thing that separates us. If you also take a look at some of the things that we're doing, we announced on our spaces last night that we have actual video interviews of our artists. They're going to go on the website. When you go to the artist, you can see the artist profile. You can get sound bites from the artist that humanizes them, as opposed to just being some pictures on a screen from somebody you don't know. So that's another thing that completely separates us from the crowd, because like I said before, there's a heart beating in this business, and we want to make sure that anybody who feels that they need and have been drowning in other marketplaces can come to us. We promote you. We actively promote you.
All right. Okay, so that's a few reasons, and good enough reasons, I believe. Now we have Winsome, Damon, Jackie, and Diana listening to us, watching us. I mean, Diana is in the business with you, so she knows, you know. But outside of that, what would be the first thing that Damien, Winsome, or Jackie needs to do in order to get involved, have some artwork that they want to be a part of it, or B, be a purchaser? I know that these are two different, clearly two different things, but I want to hear both.
All right. So if you are a creator, for example, you want to come on the platform and sell. Let's just do it from the easiest perspective. You have a file on your computer that you want to sell as an NFT. Here's the beauty about the platform. If you have sent an email with an attachment, you can go on Fimi Market and list an item. It's as simple as that. You give it a name, you click upload file, boom, you're ready. We have what's called later minting, and of course, you know, Jamaican again. Later minting means you can actually put the item on the platform without having to pay any fees until that item is sold. So that barrier to entry is greatly reduced.
What?
So,
say what?
Say what? Exactly. You know, so now as a buyer, if you want to be a purchaser, what you would need is cryptocurrency to be a purchaser. However, we are working on, you know, having the ability to hush for now, for you to use your credit card to come on and pay. So you don't necessarily need to have the crypto in your wallet, right? All you need to do is have a wallet. Just create a wallet to receive the NFT. Because once you have an NFT, you have to store it somewhere.
Right. And creating the wallet, take us through that process.
There are several wallets out there. It's like you mentioned having so many marketplaces. There are so many wallets out there. So you choose the cryptocurrency you want to deal in. We are on Stellar. We are strong advocates for Stellar, and here's why. It is one of the fastest, one of the most inexpensive networks for you to transact on. So I suggest opening a Stellar wallet. You know, the only thing that you have to do, for example, is add in 5 XLM, which at this point is around $1 to activate the account. Once you do that, there you go. You have a wallet. There are wallets, for example, like Lobster. If you visit fimi.market and you go to the how to buy section, it has a link to what's called the Lobster wallet. Easiest way to get started on Stellar. There is also something called Stellar Term, where you can just go and create an account, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy to get signed up, and we have
It sounds
videos
pretty
for that.
easy. And I think too that ease too may also, sometimes a blessing is a curse, because it's so easy. There are just so many things out there and ways to do it. And when you think about security, for example, let's touch a little bit on security. Versus coming in your Instagram, DMing you about, okay, sign up here, and there's just a flurry
Yeah.
of things coming your way. How do you know, who to go with, who it is that is legitimate and secure, and nobody's trying to steal your identity? Because, that's a big concern, particularly now in the pandemic era.
All right, simple answer. Your identity is not tied to your wallet. Can't thief it. The only thing that you see is a wallet is actually tied to what's called a private key and a public key in cryptography. You expose your public key. So when I'm sending you money, for example, I send it to your public key. I don't send it to Henika@Henika.com, right? So I never really truly know where you live. I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know what your actual email address is or anything. This is where, the whole anonymous nature comes in again. So you don't really have to worry about that. The thing you have to worry about is making sure that your private key is protected, because once I have your private key, I have full access and full reign to your account. So depending on the wallet you choose, there are several ways to do it. The wallet will be what's called a custodial wallet. They will manage the private key for you. Or you can get what's called a hardware wallet, something like, for example, a ledger. I think the URL is ledger.com. We add a spaces on hardware wallets and security. That means you have a physical device, kind of looking like a thumb drive, that you actually keep in your possession, and your private keys on that. You put that in a safe, for example, lock that away. Nobody can get to your private key.
All right, sounds good. So all of the barriers that we perhaps erect are really in our own minds, and we need to, shift our mindset a bit and come out of that bubble that we've been living in. And this is this conversation that we're having. I mean, I think at some point we can have a part two, because this is really the basics, and we're not really getting into the deep stuff, and even where where FIMI plans to go and all of that. And I want to hear a little bit about that. But this conversation is just, it's for me as much as it is for my audience. It's kind of selfish, because I really need to be a lot more, intentional about knowing and shifting. I mean, the investment is not only nowadays for the wealthy, right? It's everybody
Absolutely.
can be a part of it. And I like that the internet, I keep saying, is a great equalizer, leveling the playing field, right? So let's talk about the direction that FIMI plans to go for 2022, and we can wrap with there, right there. And whatever you need to share with us about what FIMI is doing and what you plan to do going forward.
All right, well, let's say this. Let's touch on your education part. We are strong advocates for education. Because we push for diversity and inclusion, we understand that we have to let people know exactly what's happening. What is this thing? What is this? You say NFT, but you don't know what it is. What is crypto? So we are really, really big advocates for education. And as an FYI, I participated in Kingston Creative's last meetup for 2021, where I did an introduction to NFTs. So I'll share the link with you. That's something that people can go to, take a look at the presentation, try to understand more about what NFTs are. Our relationship with Kingston Creative isn't a flash in the pan. We actually do have a relationship with Kingston Creative. We are making sure that you understand the organization that they are. They are advocates for Caribbean artists. They are known for their advocacy. They are known for ensuring that people get that work out, get that word out, and get seen. They are the ones who are helping to transform downtown Kingston. All those murals are done by Kingston Creative. So they are a powerhouse
Yeah, man.
towards it.
Andrea going with things on our team. Trust me. Beard,
Exactly,
beard things.
exactly. Big up, Andrea. So,
Yeah.
so what it is, how that will help, the Caribbean, Jamaica, etc., is that we will have programs where you can go and you can learn more about the space. This foreign thing that exists right now should not be foreign to you for too long, because the longer you stay out of it, it's like, when we started, you have your head in the sand, right? You
Had I
look
taken
up,
it out from then, right?
you see
It was
skyscrapers around you. Don't let that be you, right? So come,
okay.
learn, and participate.
All right, thank you. So Miguel Adwin has been my guest today on the Entrepreneurial You podcast. And at this point, Miguel, I mean, you have mentioned already. I want to thank you first of all for coming, but you've
Thank you.
mentioned the website. But I want you to share your other areas and places that we can contact you to learn more. And yeah, just take it away. Tell us
You
more.
can
Where can we
reach
find
me
you?
on my personal Twitter is at Migadwin, Migadwin.
Hmm.
The company's Twitter is at Fimi_market. And you can actually just visit our website, Fimi.market, Fimi.market. You will see links there to our Twitter. You will see links to our Telegram. You will see links to our Discord. Jump in, ask questions. Like Henika said, no question is stupid. Because guess what? Even though I am in the space and I am the CEO of a company that is in the crypto space, I'm continually learning because the space is continually growing, right? So innovation is happening all the time. So even if you jump in now, you're not jumping in at the tail end.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you to Dino, to Winsome, Damon, and Jacqueline for joining us, to listening in. Didn't really ask a question, but that's okay because they probably think, oh, I don't know what to ask, or I don't want to sound stupid or whatever, but it's okay. This is a safe space, and I've said that before. But you can contemplate and you can always reach out to Fimi, to Miguel, quite approachable, I find. So go ahead and
Thank
reach
you.
out with your question. As I wrap here, I want to read a little review that I get. The Entrepreneurial You has been getting lots of reviews, and one of them says, amazing content, great energy. And that is from Giovanna. She rises and she is based in the USA. If you write a review, you can send me an email at henikawatkisporter.com to let me know that you have done so in the Apple Store for the country that you're at, right? Because unless I individually go into all of the Apple stores, I won't know that you would have left a review for me if you left it in Zimbabwe or wherever it is that you are. So please go right ahead and leave a review, and you could hear it read right here. Okay, so again, thank you, Miguel Adwin, for joining me, and thank you for my audience members and for those that have been tuning in on the live stream. My takeaway for today is now is the time to get in on the crypto space. It's not too late. It's the time is right, and I'm going to do it right now, and we're doing it with this podcast. So what's the one thing that stands out for you? Please, I'd like to hear your feedback. I want you to send me your feedback at henikawatkisporter@gmail.com or on social media at henikawatkisporter. In the meantime, please follow this podcast on your favorite podcast app or connect with me for all things podcasting, whether it's books, both physical, ebook, whatever it is, coaching, online course, etc., etc. Visit henikawatkisporter.com and send me a WhatsApp message from my homepage. The Entrepreneurial You is now a TV show. Yay! Happy dancing, me happy dancing. And it's aired on Business Access TV, and you can find out more again at henikawatkisporter.com because the episodes are usually replayed as podcast episodes. So in the event that you're not able to access a TV show, it later airs as a podcast episode. And I got you covered on YouTube as well. Whew, lots I have to say. So when you do that, of course, you're going to hear more leadership and entrepreneurship lessons from guests like Zachary Harding, Les Brown, Richard Branson, Marcia Forbes, Seth Goding, Lisa Nichols, and more. And as I mentioned before, I'm on social media at Henika Watkis Porter, so you can find me there. And today, so I've been sharing with you Word of Hope each week, right? But I've kind of shifted the name of that to according to the scriptures, right? Because sometimes, you hear the scriptures and they don't really give you hope immediately, So I'm going to say, but I want to say that it's something for you to reflect and contemplate on, right? So according to the scriptures, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Don't take my word for it. It's in Proverbs 22, verse 7. And that's it for now. Until next time, do take care of yourself. Walk good. Adios, everybody. Thanks for tuning
Peace.
in. Much
Thank
love.
you.
Peace. Bless you.
Bye.